Hi, Dr. Mache. Today we're chatting about skin issues.
Skin, yes, our largest organ, and one that causes people a lot of concern as they transition either from puberty into their kind of adult life, or as they transition from their adult life into beyond, into perimenopause and beyond. Skin is always a topic of discussion because it's so visible.
It's right here. So
Wow.
if I'm, 37 and starting to see big zits, I'm not happy because I thought that part of my life was over. And now you're telling me it's back? So adult acne is a huge issue and it's masked under adult acne. Tell us, first of all, why do some women start to get hormonal acne starting in their mid-30s, early 40s, or even mid-40s?
Well, the big idea is simple, that our hormones go from perfectly balanced to highly imbalanced, and there tends to be an increased amount, relatively speaking, of androgens, or quote male hormones, which of course is not really an accurate comment, because men and women have the same hormones. It's just that women have more of the estrogen and men have more of the testosterone and certain other androgens. But both genders have all the hormones. But as more of the androgens, or quote male hormones, are produced, then you start to see this acne develop. And it's very distressing for women, and it can be persistent over a period of several years.
And it doesn't go away without sort of either hormonal rebalancing, or what I see a lot of my friends have tried are these very toxic, strong drugs that go in and supposedly kill everything and then calm the body down. And it really does help, but then those are long-term repercussions. So we want to talk today about what can someone who's starting to experience adult acne do, and B, what are some of the natural solutions, and then finally, of course, how long can this phase last for someone who's starting to worry about, will this ever end? So let's
Yeah.
the first question.
It will end, but in the meantime, it does have its own trajectory. The common things that if something is caused by an underlying hormonal imbalance, the most reasonable way to go about it is to balance the hormones. And if you do that, and that can be done in a variety of ways, I won't go into all the types, except to say that once they can be put back into a balanced state, then the acne will not be as stimulated, and it either decline or it'll go away. When you start using the astringents and the various topical things, you're basically taking away the end product, which is very helpful, but you're not preventing anything from coming forward. So basically, you're just trying to knock it out as fast as it comes, as opposed to prevent it from coming. So this is...
Let's actually talk about some of the ways to balance hormones, because I think that truly is the recommended step, is let's balance your hormones. So what would you say are the top 3 or 4 methods that you recommend, other than using hormonal therapy, bioidentical hormones?
Well, very commonly when this happens, what's happening is there's an overrepresentation of estrogen and testosterone or other androgens, and as a result of that, you try to suppress them. And the way it's most commonly done, or one way that it is commonly done, is by using a birth control pill. I mean, that is a common way of doing it. Some people won't want to take it or find it something that they prefer not to take.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about something that's both effective, very easy to apply, and something that is cost is not excessive and usually covered by insurance, then it is the way that often gets done. When you stop doing that, then you either have to, because that's basically suppressing the internal hormones and giving you a steady state so that your skin isn't subjected to this imbalance. And it turns away or takes away the stimulus of the hormones to the ovary, which is producing more and more androgen. So you're basically turning off the stimulus. Otherwise, you have to use other types of hormones, which become even potentially stronger, which are, turn off the production of hormones. That's basically what it is. It's either the pill or something like what the medicine is called like a GnRH agonist, or other kinds of medications that suppress the ovary.
So for someone like me who has done enough research, and especially through my illness, and will not recommend the birth control pill, no matter what the reason, I looked at a lot of alternatives to balancing hormones. Myself, who felt that I didn't believe that the birth control pill was the right remedy for me or for people that I know for balancing out just an acne problem because of the consequences of it on the gut and some of the other parts of the body. So I found that there are natural ways to balance your hormones out, and there are some natural supplements, maca root, ashwagandha, licorice, shatavari. Shatavari is a fabulous Indian root. In fact, its interpretation of its name is the woman with 1,000 husbands, because apparently it gives the woman the feminine essence to be able to handle lots of men. What it of course really does is, in essence, is it balances out all the drama, the melodrama that's going on internally. So there's a couple of products that I've used and that have actually worked for me, because I've tried a lot of products that have not worked. But the Banyan Botanicals Women's Natural Transitions is phenomenal. Personally, for me, it has worked incredibly well. And as I always say, find a product that works for you, because what works for me will not necessarily work for you. So you have to try.
Exactly. Nothing works for everyone. Everything works for someone. And so you've got to try one thing and then another. But the point is that if you're someone who is really not interested or would prefer not to take the hormonal treatment per se in the form of pills and so forth, birth control pills, you can certainly try these other things, try them one at a time. And as you said, they worked for you, but they won't work for everyone. And so it's just a matter of trial and error. The problem is that people do get impatient because they're annoyed immensely. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they're stressed out of their minds because they feel they're not looking attractive. And so a month to figure out if it made a difference seems like forever. And in fact, if you're going to see if something works or it doesn't work, it's going to take a month or two to know, because you've got to give your body time to see if there is a difference or not. But it is a tedious process.
I will actually say, in my experience, in fact, they say the cycle of an herb is about 30 to 40 days in terms of it going into the tissues long enough for you to see the effects. With that said, Dr. Mache, I'll speak just for myself. I started trying the Banyan Botanicals Women's Natural Transitions. It worked within 3 days. It didn't take.
That's unusual, but if it did, it did, and that's great.
And if I don't take it for a few days, which now that I'm, pretty much over it, there's weeks when I go without it, but I will notice that, sometimes something will happen and it'll trigger, and I'll just take a pill, and it's just one pill and that's it. I think the first time you try any kind of an herb or any kind of a supplement, it does take a little longer. But I do want to say that for some supplements, you can see a pretty immediate difference. Not always, but in my experience, I have absolutely, and that's not just with Banyan. I mean, there's other things as well where I've seen a difference. And of course, then there's things like, collagen powder, where I'm still waiting for my wrinkles to disappear. So
that brings us to the very next thing that I'd like to discuss, because the one thing that every woman's going to get are wrinkles. I mean, if you live long enough.
Before we jump to wrinkles, I do want to add acupuncture for hormone balance as well.
Okay.
And then we can jump there. So I mentioned one is the supplements you can do individuals, or you can do a concoction like a Banyan Botanicals. There's also, of course, black cohosh and stuff. Do check on warning labels for how much to take. Make sure you always follow the prescribed amount and the way they're recommended.
And be sure to tell your doctor or healthcare provider you're taking them, because most people don't.
because these herbs are strong. I mean, they're going in and making a difference in your body, and so you definitely want to let your medical practitioner.
And they may interfere with other medications that you get, so you want to make sure everybody knows you're taking them.
Like if you take neem, your blood sugar will get impacted. So if you have diabetes and you're on blood sugar pills and you're taking neem, you better tell your doctor, because the dosage will absolutely need to be changed. With that said, I also want to add acupuncture. It makes a huge difference. There's actually scientific studies on how acupuncture can help balance out hormones. And it's one of the reasons that insurance will pay for it now. So check if your insurance pays for it. If it does, please go start getting treatment. Don't worry about those needles. They only prick just for a second and then it's gone. You don't even notice it. And you'll get the best sleep ever for the next 30 to 45 minutes.
If pain is your issue and that's why you want to avoid acupuncture, then I would encourage you to try acupuncture, because the level of discomfort is quite minimal. And if you get a benefit, that's, if that is what works for you, then it's a great solution. And it's not really something that's where pain is a big issue. It's a minimal discomfort.
Absolutely. Now, acupuncture does take more than 1, 2, 3 tries. It is a building up of strength in your body. It's a building up of balance. In my personal experience, I was such a mess. It took almost, I would say, 16 sessions. But from the very first session, what was immediately noticeable was that if I went in rashed and hived, I would come out in an hour with no hives and no rashes. So one symptom I know acupuncture helped me with within 1 hour. And by the way, try to insist on 1 hour sessions. They try to get you out within 40 minutes. See if you can pull it out to an hour. I feel there's an incremental difference that's exponential in nature. So I used to insist on an hour session, and pretty much in an hour, if I went in, sort of my whole cheeks would be red and hived out. And after my 1 hour session, I'd look in the mirror, clean, gone, everything gone. And, but of all the different things, it took a little longer. I was doing 3 sessions a week.
That's a lot.
I was doing 3 sessions a week because, like I said, I almost died. So my level of intensity of what I was doing was far greater than what anybody else out there needs to do. But with that said, it took about 3.5 weeks, right? So I was doing 3 sessions, about 3.5, 4 weeks. And it's like my whole body started to balance out. So I would, again, urge you, especially if your insurance covers it, you're literally paying nothing for it. Why not give it a shot? And the last one that I will say for hormone balancing is energy stuff. Look into it. Look into reflexology, foot reflexology. Look into Donna Garrison's energy work. We will have a video of it on the bootcamp site as well. You might be pleasantly surprised how just banging like this and banging like this can balance you out. I know it makes sense, but it really does. So those are the ones on that. Let's move on to wrinkles. Do I have any, Dr. Mache?
I think you look marvelous. Wrinkles are really a correlate. In my book, The Estrogen Fix, I talk a lot about what happens on the skin. And what happens on the skin and what happens in the bones is actually very connected, because they all have tissues that start to lose their strength in the absence of estrogen. And as we've talked about in terms of osteoporosis, there are differences that happen in the skin. And what's happening is there's subcutaneous tissue underneath the skin. And this tissue has a scaffolding that stretches out and keeps the skin spread out so that it's smooth. And then what ends up happening in the years just before and after menopause, that is losing the collagen from the tissue. And when that starts to go away, then it's the tissue, the skin is not as taut. It's just like if you don't have the sheets tucked in tight, and as they loosen, the skin begins to wrinkle.
Why does our body stop producing collagen at the same rate it's been producing so long?
Because estrogen's not stimulating it as much anymore. That's why that's what happens. And in addition, there's something else that's going on, because we also have these these bones in our cheeks and our jaws and so forth. And what happens without hormones or without protecting your bones from some method, then what happens is that the bones start to lose calcium, and they become thinner and smaller. So what happens is women typically have their faces like a triangle when they are younger.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens to your face is the same thing that happens to your belly. It seems like it kind of drops a little bit, and you just like your belly gets thicker, your face gets thicker. And so instead of being like this, it's really upside down.
Yes.
And so the bones change and the fat pads go away, which pushes out along with the collagen.
Looking forward to losing some of my fat padding. It's not happening, Dr. Mache, but continue.
Well, you know, the benefits of hormone therapy is they do preserve the skin. I'm not advocating it for that purpose, but there will be at some point in the future hormones that can be applied to the skin that are actually metabolized in the skin and won't actually get into the bloodstream for some women who just don't want to take hormones, but who obviously want to preserve the smoothness of their skin. So that's going to be that's going to happen. Also, the loss of the estrogen is also stopping the oil production or increasing the oil production so that there's more oiliness, and that's contributing to the acne we spoke about earlier. But anyway, these changes in the skin aren't inevitable if hormones are used, and if they aren't, it's very hard. You really got to protect your bones here and in your, the skeletal bones, but these ones are what changes the shape of the face.
What do we do? How can we trigger that collagen production and without using bioidenticals, and what else can we do to preserve our skin?
Well, there are products that are, increased collagen that people take. And if they are beneficial, again, you have to see if they're beneficial for you. Hydration is really important, making sure that you drink plenty of water, which seems like a very simple thing, but still highly effective. And, those are some of the things you can do. It's very hard to prevent the process of aging, though, without the hormones.
How about eating collagen?
Well, I don't know the benefits of that in terms of outcome. I know that there are people looking at ways to get collagen in and prevent collagen loss. But as to specific products, I don't know of any that are absolutely preventing collagen or maintaining collagen specifically at this time. But it's an area of great interest.
Because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? Eating collagen powder. If you look at both bone broth and collagen powder, you can't get on the internet and not be blasted with an ad from one of the three big companies that are in that business. And so I think you're seeing the jury still out on whether putting 2 scoops of collagen in your smoothie every day is going to make up for the loss of collagen.
It's not going to hurt, but I can't promise you that it's going to maintain perfect skin just because you use those things.
So I'll share my example, my own experience. When I first hit the, what I call my year of hell, everything fell apart, including my skin. So I would get scared looking in the mirror because I had all these like strange dents, and like there was like dents under my eyes, and I'd lost so much weight anyway that, I was about 20 pounds lighter than I am now. So I mean, I was just bones anyway. But then the skin was just different. It was really thin, extremely thin. And to the point where I went to get my eyebrows done, and the lady goes, "Oh my God, your skin is like crepe. It's so thin." And so I started to realize, wow, something's definitively changed. And I shifted. Till then, I hadn't really been very much into skincare. But what I did start to do then is to start researching into natural oils with no additives, no preservatives, nothing I couldn't pronounce. And I did find that there's something, carrot oil, rosehip oil, so organic carrot oil, organic rosehip oil. That's all I do now, just dab the oil around at night. It works great. And my own personal beauty favorite is 100% Pure. It's one of the only brands that truly makes vegetable, fruit-based products, including foundations, lipsticks, and cleansers and stuff. And they have a product which has a little bit of wax in it, or as they say, Vaseline. So you take something like a Vaseline, which becomes a barrier to losing precious hydration at night, which then causes all the wrinkling and the buckling. So
well, that's awfully good. And also, sunscreens and protecting your face from skin damage from the sun, because that's another source of damage that adds to, and if you're a smoker, that is going to definitely add aging to your skin as a result of smoking. If you see photographs of twin sisters where one is smoking and one doesn't, one that's smoking looks years older than the one who does not. So these are clear toxins to your skin.
absolutely. Wonderful. So we've given you today a lot of great tips on both acne and wrinkles. Dr. Mache, any parting shots before we wrap up?
None really, other than some change is going to happen. You can't preserve yourself. You want to be a mommy, but you don't want to be a mummy. And so you have to accept that there may be some changes, but you can slow it down by a variety of methods that we've talked about. So I hope you'll try them and see what works for you.
And I'll give one last one, which I think is so critical. The most important recognition is that you can't continue to put junk in your body and expect the same skin. So it's recognizing that you're going to have to make some changes for your skin to continue to look good. And one of my favorite changes is actually a smoothie. Not out of a box, but a fresh fruit and vegetable smoothie where you've bought the vegetables and fruits at a farmer's market, and you've got your half a banana. I mean, I'll throw in half an avocado, half a banana, couple of oranges for the vitamin C, some berries, and there I do go frozen, some frozen blueberries, some acai berry blend, and some chia and some flax, and blend it all up, and I take it every single day. Oh,
that should be good for just about everything. I mean, that sounds like a great smoothie.
Oh, it's so delicious. And I forgot, and half a cucumber. Cucumbers are great for skin because they also have silica. So that's it. You've got to start adding things like this into your diet in order for the skin to continue to glow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mache, and the rest of you. We're going to see you on our next video. Bye-bye.
Bye now.